delivered a stern warning to Pakistan. Dr. Jaishankar has called out Pakistan and its support of terrorism. He's spoken about bad neighbors and said that no one can dictate response to terror. Terrorism will have consequences, and terror ended the water sharing treaty. So this is the Indus Waters Treaty that's being spoken of, which has now been held in abeyance by India. And he's also said that one cannot seek cooperation on the one hand and export terror on the other. So those are some very strong statements that have been made by the External Affairs Minister during an event at the Indian Institute of Technology in Chennai, in Madras, IIT Madras. Let's in fact listen into what the External Affairs Minister said.
Positive scenario, but you can also have bad neighbors. Unfortunately, we do. Now, when you have bad neighbors, and if you look to the one to the west, if a country decides that they will deliberately, persistently, unrepentantly continue with terrorism, we have a right to defend our people against terrorism. We will exercise that right. How we exercise that right is up to us. Nobody can tell us what we should do or not. We will do whatever we have to do to defend ourselves. It's a common sense proposition. Now, again, as I said, a lot of it is goodwill. Many years ago, we agreed to a water arrangement, water sharing arrangement, because the belief, the underpinning of that was, it was a gesture of goodwill, because for good neighborliness we were doing it. But if you had decades of terrorism, there is no good neighborliness. If there is no good neighborliness, you don't get the benefits of that good neighborliness. You can't say, I will, please share water with me, but I will continue terrorism with you. That's not reconcilable. So I think there is as I said, a good is the positive scenario. But you can also have bad neighbors. Unfortunately, we do. Now, when you have bad neighbors and,
So a clear reference there on the part of our External Affairs Minister about the Indus Waters Treaty and why it's been held in abeyance following the Pahalgam terror attack. Now, that treaty was signed, according to Dr. Jaishankar, in an atmosphere of goodwill on the part of India towards Pakistan, trusting Pakistan to reciprocate in terms of its cooperation with India. But that promise had been betrayed by Pakistan, including several years of proxy war that it has waged on Indian soil. And therefore, India had absolutely no obligation to continue with that goodwill. And when the Pahalgam terror attacks eventually happened, India took a decision to put that particular treaty in abeyance and respond in the right manner through Operation Sindoor subsequently. So that's, of course, the context in which Dr. Jaishankar was explaining the current state of affairs vis-a-vis India and Pakistan, and why India chose to act in the manner that it did, because Pakistan has been, in his words, a bad neighbor. A clear-cut warning as well being delivered on the part of Dr. Jaishankar to Pakistan over its actions historically against India, including its support of a proxy war in India. Let me go across to my colleague Srinjoy Chaudhary, who will fill us in with a perspective on what Dr. Jaishankar said. Important words indeed, Srinjoy, coming from our External Affairs Minister, explaining the rationale behind putting the Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance.
The Indus Water Treaty survived terrorism from 1989, and it went on and on. Let's not forget, terrorism began in Jammu and Kashmir in 1989, which is 35 years fully. Now it's only in 2025, after Pahalgam, that India said enough. Which country has ever waited 35 years to go back on a treaty? And 35 years of terrorism, which has led to the deaths of thousands of people in India, in Jammu and Kashmir, soldiers, civilians, lots and lots of people. And India waited all this while before going back on water. Let's not forget what Pakistan said. Pakistan at that point said that this going back on the treaty is war. Well, if it were war,
Sure.
it's almost 8 months.
Absolutely.
So where is the war?
Yes.
That's the other point that must be kept in mind.
Absolutely. Shankar, thanks for that perspective, because we also have Colonel Arasan Singh right now joining us to share his views on what the External Affairs Minister has said. Colonel Arasan Singh, this was the long-expected lines as well, India explaining why it's decided to act in the manner that it has in the aftermath of the Pahalgam attacks.
You know why Pakistan had this comfort that it can, carry on with the, with jihadi terrorism all these decades. The Indus Water Treaty will not be impacted. It was because of a direct and indirect assurance of the West. Remember, Pakistan was created by Britain while they were leaving as a wall against the Soviet Union. And before partition, it was an extension of the Great Game. So this was brokered by the West, by the World Bank. So Pakistan, and I make no bones about it, is a proxy of the proxy of the Western world, particularly the United States of America. So it always lived in this comfort that the India can do nothing about this Indus Water Treaty. It is a fait accompli, which was established when Pakistan was created, and the powers that be in the world order, they will come down heavily on India, but we undid all that.
Sure.
India had the courage. India had the courage to do it.
Okay.
And let me tell you, it was our position that blood and terrorism cannot flow together.
Yes.
And so water and terrorism cannot flow together.
And talks and terror cannot flow together as well. Many thanks, Colonel Arasan Singh. Let's once again listen in to what Dr. Jaishankar said, explaining India's position in that conversation at IIT Madras.
It's the positive scenario. But you can also have bad neighbors. Unfortunately, we do. Now, when you have bad neighbors, and if you look to the one to the west, if a country decides that they will deliberately, persistently, unrepentantly continue with terrorism, we have a right to defend our people against terrorism. We will exercise that right. How we exercise that right is up to us. Nobody can tell us what we should do or not. We will do whatever we have to do to defend ourselves. It's a common sense proposition. Now, again, as I said, a lot of it is goodwill. Many years ago, we agreed to a water sharing arrangement, because the belief, the underpinning of that was, it was a gesture of goodwill, because for good neighborliness we were doing it. But if you had decades of terrorism, there is no good neighborliness. If there is no good neighborliness, you don't get the benefits of that good neighborliness. You can't say, I will, please share water with me, but I will continue terrorism with you. That's not reconcilable. So I think there is as I said, a good is the positive scenario.
We also have analyst Pathikrit Pine joining us. Mr. Pine, how important are Dr. Jaishankar's statements in the light of Pakistan's own foreign policy overtures in different parts of the world, explaining that India, or trying to explain that India is the aggressor by holding the Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance? How significant are Dr. Jaishankar's statements in the light of these developments?
Well, Pakistan can go to anybody. Pakistan can go to United States, to anybody or else, anybody else they want. But it has to be understood that the water sharing thing is a purely bilateral issue. And in that, the consistent policy of Government of India and the Prime Minister Modi has been that blood and water cannot flow hand in hand. So if Pakistan continues to use terror as an instrument of tradecraft, then India has every right to, shut down those taps. Secondly, we have to remember that almost 93% of the water is actually flowing into Pakistan from those Indus rivers which originate in India, which means that even if India reduces that to 80%, it would create problem for Pakistan, primarily because Pakistan has never invested in creating its own reservoirs for preserving the water that flows in. So it's their problem. And secondly, if you look at till now, terrorism is still being used as an instrument of statecraft by Pakistan. To those countries whom Pakistan is complaining, they must introspect their foreign policy towards Pakistan, which they have, where they have allowed the terrorism to thrive for their own selfish gains. We have to understand many of the Western countries want to contain India. And that is why they remain a blind eye to whatever activities Pakistan does.
Sure.
But I think the world has changed. Today, for a $4 trillion economic like India, I think any kind of threats, warnings, raising of eyebrows by the West will not make any difference. If Pakistan wants water, it has to mend its ways. Back to you.
Absolutely. Many thanks, Mr. Pine, for that perspective. We'll take a short break right now. We'll continue our coverage of this and much more on the other side of this break.